I've never seen it.
Oh yeah.
And they were like, you'll go up right when they start getting the food, and then we're thinking about in the middle of the tables. It was like 8, like 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, and they want me here. And I was like, and how long? And they're like, just until everyone's kind of done eating. And I'm just like, what is happening?
Yeah. I once did a show that we were introduced as, ladies and gentlemen, the buffet is open, and also an improv group.
It's good stuff.
I Todd is a filmmaker and a friend of mine that I went to college with, and we met because he was on the improv group I auditioned for in Missouri in college.
All right.
And I distinctly remember your entire last show in the improv group telling everyone to drop out of college because it was a complete waste of money.
It was ahead of time.
And you had dropped out, but were still doing improv.
Very true.
And then
Did you go to Mizzou?
Yes. And then they were not happy.
No. But we were performing in front of people who were eating food. It was definitely at a cafe.
The journalism
a large
school
cafe.
like introduction, and it's like, little did you know the iPad was about to come out, and you were completely correct about the print journalism school not being worth the money.
That is true.
It was like
true.
that calendar year. Will you plug that guy in?
That's funny.
If that's all right.
Oh yeah, here I'm stepping on the.
It just sort of goes across the white box into that thing.
I can't believe you guys have all this gear. This is impressive, man.
We don't.
Yeah,
This used to be a full. We used to
Nolan-
say real studio, and this is like now you have a real studio. You did your own.
The cameras belong to Nolan Fabricus, who's a producer who, I believe they were Harmontown's cameras, and then if you can believe it, they didn't keep they never asked for them back. That vigilant group of people who would stay on top of all of their gear, or they replaced them and never asked him again, and they had bought because they did it live, I guess, all the time, so they had all this stuff.
That's tight.
Yeah. Cool.
This is really tight, man. Dude, this is like they shut the shit down and we fucking rise and back up. This is I'm really impressed right
It
now.
was short notice, right?
Oh, it was 0 days.
Yeah.
It was a
Classic.
Friday. It was a Friday at 5:00 or 5:30. So it really felt like, and also I won't be at my desk for 3 days.
Yeah.
And I don't even mean that in like a mean way or anything. It's just sort of, I'm sure it's just like, maybe they were just desperately trying to figure out anything that could happen throughout the week.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm going to quit out of Adobe. And then they just at the end were like, and then I just went and watched John Wick. I was like in lines to see John Wick.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's never going to happen. I don't know. This is just, I say look, I went and looked at like 40 boxes, and like everywhere wants to sell you, oh, did you know we also have a large co-working space with booths? And did you know the Exploding Cats team has 2 offices in here? It's like a card game. And I was like, okay. And they like gave me the card game, and I was like, okay.
It's like an MLM
and they were like,
thing.
okay. And it was a little bit, basically if you cut this off where that extension is right there, that little nook, and then it was $1,200.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's insane.
Yeah.
No,
So
thank you.
then they harass you every day. It's like I signed up for I don't know, like a MLM email or something. Where
It's probably where you get your ads.
we
from
also
there,
have
too.
spaces in Calabasas that could be more in your price range. I'm like, it's 2-hour drive or whatever.
It's pretty funny.
I don't know, but this is just some guy who is in Scores movies and bought the studio because he was tired of getting kicked out of studios.
Nice.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. And so he's like, I went broke buying this place, but now I'm not getting kicked out. And I'm like, that's exactly who I want to like.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a good landlord.
Yeah.
That's ideal.
Okay. So we got the script. I'll record an intro separately
Sure.
leading into it.
I'm pretty nervous about this one.
Really?
Oh, it's going to be great.
This is, and I guess, are we rolling? Okay.
Have you read the script yet or no?
I have not.
Okay. Good.
I have not read the script.
I'm embarrassed I haven't seen this movie, obviously.
Sure.
I almost didn't want to tell you that this was on the table as an option.
This has been frequently on lists,
Oh, really?
and I have not. I would say probably about 10 or 15 times. This has been the one, or been one of the 4 or 5 that comes through,
Yeah.
and I will always sort of lean towards something else if we haven't done it a whole lot.
Yeah.
And depending on who the comedian is, and no offense to a lot of the other people who've done the show, there were some people I'm like, I'm not even gonna let you give that one a run.
I don't want to know what you do with this.
You know what I mean? Like, no offense, like late 80s TV comedy writers or whatever,
Yeah.
but I don't know if I kind of know where it would go.
Yeah, I floated it out there, and when I sat down to actually think about what this 5 to 6 page script of what it should be, I'm like, well, I want it to be funny, but I also am aware enough of what this movie is about that I don't want to be disrespectful.
Right.
It was a fine line to walk, and I don't know if I nailed it.
What comedian made that? Was there the Holocaust movie that never came out in like the 60s?
Lewis.
Jerry Lewis's famous
movie.
movie.
The Day the Clown Cried.
Yes.
Yeah.
You could have just sent me that PDF.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
I think that movie ended up leaking online, or what they had of it, or something very recently.
Pat Oswalt did readings of the script at some point.
Really?
And after that, some of it leaked, I believe. Yeah. Pat Oswalt, I would say he's like the primary reason that's a legendary thing, is because he was obsessed with it.
That's wild.
It is. I did speech and debate in high school, and they call it forensics. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's like one person interpreting a piece. Not a lot. It's weird when people don't know what that is, because the word forensics has a very different.
You think dead bodies?
My parents did the whole time I did it, and but someone took a piece of that leaked script and did it as a dramatic interpretation.
Whoa.
And it was terrible. Absolutely terrible. Could not believe it. And they were very good at physical movements, which is important for that, because there's a lot of like I guess object work and things like that. But then it was just they were bad to where you didn't even know what that was. And then you're just, at the time I was just confused, but looking back, I'm like, that should have blown my mind that they thought that they could do that.
It's a bold move.
Jerry Lewis couldn't quite pull it off, but like Eric from Rockhurst is going to go ahead and like swing it, or whoever he was.
Take that swing, Eric. Yeah. Make Rockhurst proud.
I have, to make you, I don't know if this I maybe have talked about this. I did forensics in middle school, and it's a class. It's not like an after-school thing, speech and debate. They teach you about it, and they assign you a piece. And I got assigned Of Mice and Men. I wasn't like a very loud, like, so quiet kids dramatic, loud kids humorous was sort of how it was. And I got Of Mice and Men, and they give you the 10-minute cut as like a paper script, and I forgot to memorize it.
Oh, wow.
And in what would be the end of my career, I improvised it.
Hell yeah,
10 minutes.
Dude.
This is 6th or 7th grade, maybe 7th grade. I improvised 10 minutes of Mice and Men based on what I knew about it, and the voices I chose would like. I mean, it would have been
Did
like.
you know the names of the characters?
Oh, Lenny and George. Yeah, I like the day before. I'm like,
of course.
And I mean, the voices they probably both would have been offensive in like 1970. Like it was.
Well, how did the teachers react to this?
I failed. They said you clearly didn't memorize, and one student in the class said I made her cry tears because it was so dramatic.
What?
Wow.
But that is an insult to her almost.
Yeah,
that's on her. She was bringing something else to that.
Like, if this was a taped thing and it came out, I mean, I was in 6th grade, but it would be it would make me famous just to tear me down. That's probably how offensive it was. Just from having any sort of tangential relationship with people who have Twitter followers.
The only thing I remember from that book is one of the characters is so dedicated to abusing his wife that he puts Vaseline in his glove, so his hand is like soft for slapping her. I remember reading that and being like, what the fuck is going on in this book? Like, I also did not read the book and do my homework. I was like skimming
through.
It was like we had a quiz like a week into reading it, so I read like the middle 7 chapters, so I hopefully wouldn't fail the quiz. I did, obviously. But I remember like one of the guys in the book wears a glove with Vaseline, so his hand is soft so he can slap his wife.
I've never gone back. I don't want to know what I got
that?
right and what I got wrong. So
commitment.
This could not be that.
Can I also just get on record that I'm aware I should have seen Schindler's List by now? I'm just going to name the movie. If I'm just going to,
I would say, I guess we haven't. We've been dancing around it, but it will be in the title of the episode.
To explain? Can I explain?
I think we've had a lot of people on the show a couple of times. And the pivot between your two movie choices is so drastic.
Ironman 3.
Ironman 3 specifically with what was the most like lore that's ever gone into a script here on the show.
Sure.
And then Schindler's List, which I hope you don't have a similar story about.
No, it was not. Imagine if I was cut from Schindler's List and bitter about it to this day. It's like, I'm so mad. No.
That'd be so
Enter
good.
Chris Gethard in Iron Man suit.
I have to tell you, much easier to do a comedic piece about Iron Man 3.
Sure.
I bet.
Significantly easier.
I bet.
I would say the hardest. it's hard to do comedy and it's hard to do prestige Holocaust, and it's probably easy to do takes itself seriously action.
Well, look, if I'm known for anything, it's my range, right?
So coming in, what do you have?
I just want to put this on record. I know this is a movie I should have seen. I didn't see it in the theater when I was young. That's when I probably should have seen it.
Yeah, if you miss that window, you're not gonna like go back and revisit on like a Thursday night. Like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna do some Schindler's List. You
Here's
know,
the thing is like generally, just like you said, like I'm generally the times when I've had free time in my life to watch movies. I was living with a roommate. Mm-hmm. He'd already seen it. What am I gonna do? You want to just like?
You want to run it back?
You want to run
yeah,
back
you're not gonna
list, you know?
Yeah,
He's watching you watch it like it's his favorite. He's like, you're gonna love this part.
Exactly. Or a lot of times when you watch movies when you're young, are dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Come over and watch a movie.
Right.
And we're all thinking it's gonna lead somewhere. You're not gonna throw on Schindler's List as your date movie with someone else who's either probably seen it or not the most fun date movie fair, right?
No.
The only time I feel emotionally vulnerable, and I watch it in a film class, and that seems like where you watch it. The only time I've felt it would have been okay, like emotional, I'm like, I could watch it, is like an airplane.
Oh,
But then
yeah.
you're like, then there's people
I was
next to
thinking
you.
about that before. I was like, man, it's always on planes. They always have Schindler's List on planes.
It's
But
fair
I'm like,
use
if you're walking
copyright
back
at
from
this
the
point.
if you're walking back from the bathroom and you walk past someone just watching Schindler's
Oh,
List,
something's
you're like,
wrong. Yeah, that's
Right?
not.
You're
Just
like-
next to like a couple syncing
Yeah.
up the Minions movie on two screens.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. People are doing like 1, 2, 3,
Yeah.
push play.
But the touch screens are so old they never.
And I'm over here like, let's look at a black and white opus about the depths of human suffering.
man.
Like, I've just never found the appropriate time to watch it.
It is
And
tough.
It might be. It's definitely one of the biggest gaps I have as someone who's watched a lot of movies. It's up there. It's that and Citizen Kane. Those are the two big ones where I'm like, I should have seen those.
Interesting.
I would say, having
are the two I
seen
missed.
both of those in the same film class, film one, like these are the first 2 weeks of the class. Citizen Kane has pretty good casual watch value.
Okay.
But I feel like also
It's not as heavy and dramatic as Citizen Kane. You can toss on, and it's fun. It's sort of like one of those you look back and everyone's minds were blown by a low angle shot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But now
Yeah.
you're like, wait, I'm sorry, that guy invented moving the camera. Well, these people were idiots. But that's what the big deal. A lot of big deals about it. It has more of a, I don't know. You could kind of watch it instead of something casual. It's not. I don't think it's too heavy.
Schindler's
honestly,
List.
at all.
I'm also someone who has like real mental health issues, and I'm like, I have a feeling this movie's gonna put me in a hole for days.
you're not gonna. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not.
You're gonna be ready,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You gotta there's self care that needs to be. You don't need to do that to yourself. I would say.
Yeah, but I sort of should, as a citizen of the world, watch this film at some point.
I
right?
think there's if you're aware of it and you're aware of what it's about and you're have enough empathy to connect to it. I don't know that you need to put yourself through the whole.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough to be like, I gotta get myself happy enough to watch Schindler's List.
Just to bring
Finally,
it to
I'm in a
level
good
up.
enough
Yeah.
mood to
Like-
watch this movie.
Yeah.
And that's what, like, how do you pick out snacks for that movie?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, do I want gummy bears?
Yeah.
What am I gonna eat? Should I get the snow caps with Schindler's List?
Yeah. Do
There
I
were
wait?
people in the theater who did have that conversation.
It's really, really
absolutely.
wild.
People
Absolutely.
who went and were like, I definitely want popcorn. And if we're gonna get one candy, what would we split?
Right. We got to get sweet and chocolate.
The Airheads.
There's people who went to see Schindler's List and heard people drinking the bottom of a Diet
Oh,
Coke.
for sure.
Like they heard slurping, and you're just like, you're done. We're 30 minutes in. You're gonna have to pee.
Those are very long, from what I've heard, right?
I think it's really, really long.
I
think
haven't
it's
watched
three,
it since I was a
three
kid,
hours
and
and
yeah, it
15
does
minutes
feel
long.
really long. Yeah.
I
I feel like that in Heat when I was a kid, where the 2 years like this never is ending. I mean, I didn't want Heat 10, but I was just like, man, this movie's like 2 days long. This
I
is
was on the
insane.
edge of my seat hoping Schindler's List never ended.
Yeah,
I just the
keep it
narrative and the
going.
way it went through.
I feel like from a VHS standpoint, those like early like 2 cassette tape double feet,
Yeah.
it's like Schindler's List, Titanic, Heat, and that's kind of it. right?
Titanic was made such a huge deal of it, but wasn't even the first in any capacity to be doing this. But
Yeah.
I guess it was just the biggest movie of all time.
Yeah,
at
but
that
you're
point,
right.
so people were hyped about it. But yeah, okay. Well, we can do the script right now.
Okay, now that I have all the
I got 3
caveats out of the
copies
way.
right now. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
What if no caveats might have also felt interesting. I don't know. I figure I nailed
I've
it.
never seen it, never wanted to, don't care. I was like, I just missed it and whatever.
Uninteresting. It would be. I think it's it's not as weird to have never seen it as it would be if you were like, I've seen it 10 times.
That's
Or
true,
this
actually.
This is my favorite. You have the poster? You have the poster in your dorm?
That would be
like,
weird.
I'm not going to one-night stand the guy with the Schindler's List poster in his dorm next to his Pulp Fiction poster.
I'll get to it. Maybe I'll watch it on the plane when I fly home.
Yeah.
Maybe now that we've done this.
I feel like every time I'm flying, I always get in a weird like emotional state with movies. Like I've cried watching a movie on an airplane like almost every time.
I cried watching Nobody, the Bob Odenkirk is a Home Alone / Taken type of movie, where he just fights people in the house. I was just like, this is so great, and he's carrying a whole movie, and it's not someone who people thought would carry stuff, and now he's the example of carrying things.
I also have a thing with plane movies where it has to be a movie where I'm okay falling asleep during it.
Oh,
Either because of the quality of the movie or because I've seen it before. So I've seen Gladiator on planes so many times because I don't care.
What part do you usually fall asleep in Gladiator?
I can fall asleep at any random point, and then generally, like, the growls of a tiger will wake
Get
me
you
up.
up? That's
some
good.
shit, or like Thor Ragnarok. I've seen it so many times.
Oh,
I really
yeah.
like it. I've fallen asleep during it 10 times. Can you imagine how hard you'd judge somebody if you saw them sleeping through Schindler's
But
List?
you have a wake up for food sign on.
Wake me up for my meal. Wake me up for snacks, please.
Wake me up for snacks, please.
Oh God!
What
And then just chow down while watching Holocaust victims starve.
Do you have anything that doesn't have these little biscuits?
Yeah.
That would be the other two people in your row. That would be a real interesting.
Do you have any of those speculoos cookies?
It is wild that it seems to be available on everything.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe no one wants to be the company that's like,
We don't want to.
and we're not going to fork over $40 to show that on Delta. Okay. So we're good with
divide up the
caveats here.
parts?
Yeah, let's divide it. How are we looking on? Where are we cruising here? 17 minutes. All right, we're gonna.
Okay. So we need somebody for stage direction.
Your laptop screen a little bit forward.
Like this?
Other way.
Like that?
A little bit forward.
We're gonna use this for the break. Why don't I just shut it for now?
Oh, yeah, that's
Yeah, it's not on.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was just I had the screen low to save battery while it was charging, and I wasn't using it.
Yeah.
We'll use it when I need it. All right.
Okay.
So we're back from break. We're gonna use that as our break. I think that works good.
Okay.
Let's divide up the parts however you'd like.
We need. I'll play Oscar Schindler. I'll take the hit on that. The other major character in this is named Mrs. Schnitzel, which I feel bad about because it's a little silly, but I wanted something that was
Todd, you can.
Perfectly
You want to
sweet.
Mr.
felt
Schnitzel?
German.
I mean,
Something
if there's
felt
one thing we
German.
know from this podcast, I'm great at doing voices. So
Yeah, I think that's perfect.
certainly.
Then, Kyle, maybe you should do the stage directions and all the characters who enter throughout.
You want to do the stage directions?
I can do the stage directions.
Yeah.
And-
Or at
okay,
least if you want to do the up top stage directions.
I'll do the stage
Yeah,
directions.
I'll just do
and
everyone
Oscar
else who
Schindler,
pops up.
and you do everybody else.
Beautiful.
Okay. So this is Schindler's List by Chris.
Wait,
Gethard.
I was joking. He's actually better at this than I am. Do you want to do?
No,
Schnitzel
you're
then?
Miss
Are you
Schnitzel.
sure?
Yeah.
All right,
yeah.
I'll take it.
Okay.
Don't judge me. I don't want to.
No.
That's my caveat.
I think you have a Mrs. Schnitzel vibe.
Yeah.
Thank you. I
know we
appreciate
just
It's so
that.
weird to say
take
"Don't
it.
judge me" to the guy who wrote Schindler's List, having not seen it. Okay. All right, let's do it.
Schindler's List by Chris Gethard. Interior, an old-timey office, day. Image of an old-timey office in black and white. See, I know that. The desk has a lot of pads and supplies spread around on it. Maybe there's a globe or something on a shelf behind it. The sun comes through the blinds in a cool black and white movie way, right?
Yeah.
Tone setting.
Hell yeah.
Oscar Schindler enters. He's played by Liam Neeson. Takes off his overcoat and hangs it on a hook behind the door. He takes off his hat and does the same. He cracks his knuckles, sits down at the big desk, and lets out a deep sigh. Then he rings a little silver bell. Mrs. Schnitzel opens the door. She's a middle-aged blonde secretary.
Good morning, Mr. Schindler.
Good morning, Mrs. Schnitzel. Let's do our morning tradition, shall we? He opens a drawer and takes out one clean, unsullied sheet of white paper. He places it on his desk and makes sure to get the corners just where he wants them so it's perfectly straight. Mrs. Schnitzel, on my desk is a blank piece of paper. I'd like to change that. Now, as you know, I run a business that provides various goods and services to different members of our community. I like to keep the exact nature of my business vague so that I can cast a wide net and help as many people with as many goods and services as possible. Shall we go ahead and send in some members of our community in need so that we might turn this from a blank piece of paper into something actionable?
Yes, sir. There are so many people lined up today. I'll send the first one in.
She exits. In enters Ben, a young, early 30s man wearing a yarmulke. Hello, sir. Nice to meet you. I'm Oscar Schindler.
Yes, sir. I know. Thank you so much for seeing me.
It's my pleasure. How can I help you?
Well, sir, I happen to be a practitioner of the Jewish faith, and I don't know if you've heard how things are going for us lately.
Well, I have to say the specifics remain very obscured, but overall, you get the sense that it's some rough stuff.
Eee.
Ben kind of grimaces. Let me be clear. I'm not trying to be dismissive by boiling it down to the phrase rough stuff. I really believe that. If I knew all the specifics, I'm sure I'd be astounded and disgusted, but I don't. So I just labeled it with that broad blanket term, rough stuff.
I understand, sir. I do.
So how can I be of service to you exactly?
Well, I've got a young family. It's me, my wife, our son, and our daughter. And I was thinking it might be smart for us to get out of here.
Ben, you're in luck. I'm going to brainstorm and be in touch. I'll let you know when it's go time.
Thank you, sir. I know your word is as good as gold.
They shake hands. Ben leaves. Oscar grabs a pen and writes on the paper, "Help Ben and his family escape religious persecution." Oscar puts down the pen and rings the bell again. Mrs. Schnitzel enters.
Yes, sir?
I'm happy to tell you we've taken this from a blank piece of paper to a piece of paper with one item on it. That's progress.
It's a great start. Shall I send in the next one?
Please do. Mrs. Schnitzel exits. Rachel enters. She's a late 20s woman dressed in traditional conservative Jewish clothes circa the late 1930s. Good morning, miss. I'm Oscar Schindler. How can I be of service today?
Well, Mr. Schindler, your reputation precedes you. People say you're a good man who likes to help people.
On my best days, I think that's true.
Well, I happen to be Jewish, and I'm hoping to get my family and I safe harbor to...
Don't say... Do you know that guy, Ben? He just left.
No, I don't.
Small world. He's also Jewish and needs help. This will actually make things much more streamlined.
So, you can help.
I believe so. I'll be in touch as soon as possible. They shake hands. Rachel leaves. Oscar takes out his pen and writes, "Help Rachel's family, too." Underneath the first line. Then he rings the bell. Mrs. Schnitzel enters. Mrs. Schnitzel, I'm happy to tell you we officially have a pair. Let's keep them coming now, Miss Schnitzel. We're on something of a roll here.
You've got it, Mr. S.
Schnitzel exits. David enters. He's a Jewish man in his early 40s.
Mr. Schindler, David Sussman is my name.
Stop right there. Are you and your family looking to get out of Germany right now?
How did you...
This seems to be on everybody's minds right now. Mr. Sussman, I'm so sorry you and your family have been scared. I'm going to give it some thought, some elbow grease, and come up with a plan. Your family will be safe.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
They shake hands. David leaves. Oscar takes out his pen, sits down, and writes "the Sussman family" as well on the line below the other two. He rings the bell. Mrs. Schnitzel enters.
Making progress, sir?
Indeed, Mrs. Schnitzel, indeed. Look at this. What was once a blank piece of paper now has 3 items on it, and that's bullet points. We're getting so close. I'm excited. Are you excited?
Immeasurably so, sir.
Good. I am as well. Please go ahead and send in the next person who might need my assistance. She leaves. Moments later, Andrew enters. He's Hasidic and wearing very traditional garb. Before he can say a word, Oscar jumps out of his seat. Hot dog! Don't say a thing! Let me guess. Things are very bad in Germany right now. There's a lot of rough stuff coming. You've heard rumors about what the Nazi Party is doing to Jewish residents in these parts, and you want to get you and your family out.
Wow, exactly right.
You got it, buddy. You got it. This is shaping up to be a very interesting week. They shake hands. Andrew exits. Oscar walks around behind the desk, almost dancing with excitement. He leans down and writes, "Help that last family as well. Didn't catch names, parentheses, ask Mrs. Schnitzel." He drops the pen and rings the bell. Mrs. Schnitzel enters. He smiles. She smiles.
What's the good word?
Mrs. Schnitzel, there are now officially 4 words on this piece of paper. And that means it's no longer an item. It's no longer a pair. It has gone beyond bullet points. We officially have a list. Yes! Let's get to motherfucking work.
That might have been better than the actual Schindler's List.
How disrespectful was that? Having not seen the original movie, I'm not sure how disrespectful
That
that
was perfect.
I didn't want to be disrespectful.
More disrespectful would be what the movie's based on.
Yes.
Well, the Holocaust. I
Murdering
would say
thousands and
if
millions
we're
of people.
gonna, yeah,
Right,
yeah,
I could have
yeah.
tried to write some real pithy. I think I wanted to start at the very beginning of why Schindler likes lists so
A
much.
guy who wants to make a list.
Turns
and
out
that's a
he's
task.
very good at working off lists, and that's how he saved so many people. So let's just start with his love of lists.
Right. I
was
think
my
that's
thought.
smart. I think he's figuring out something's going on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would. There was an all-time line read in here. I think you did great. It was wonderful.
Yeah, thank you so much.
One of the things I did like more about this than Schindler's List, the actual movie, was the length.
Okay.
I was going to go the opposite direction. I was thinking that the joke here has so much legs. I thought this would be so funny. This was like 30 pages, and it just kept making a list. The
244, like the
longest-
actual length of the
an
actual script.
list that went.
Well, you'll imagine as a writer, I did have a lot of thought of when we get to 3 and I say bullet points,
Mm-hmm.
is that buyable for the suspension of disbelief of the viewer? Because a lot of people would look at 3 as a list.
Oh, I bought that.
Oh, you
I'm a big bullet points guy. So
Yeah,
that
yeah.
really worked for
Okay.
me.
That
really
actually
worked
checks
for me.
out for how I'm thinking, because you have someone,
You have an
you got
item,
a
a pair,
couple,
bullet
points,
yeah,
no
even
list.
like I'd consider a few wouldn't be a list.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
My-
also 3 things you can accomplish 3 things in short order. It's not a thing like we need to come back to this later. You know what I mean?
And my thought when I started to really think about Oscar Schindler was he's probably in his earlier days as a lover of lists. 3, he'd go, okay, let me sink my teeth into this.
Yeah,
and
no,
then
he's got to
Yeah.
build
just-
that up.
It became a little bit.
Is this my
pedestrian.
day, or am I finished with this now?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly.
I think that's wonderful, and
he
I
likes
think
he likes a nice lengthy list.
Yep.
Schindler's List.
Got to get
I,
that paper just the way he
Sadly,
likes
at
it.
this point, and most days, I think it would become clear. So people might come in and go, I have a car and it's broken down and I'm having trouble finding a part. You go, I can find that for you.
Sure.
Yeah.
And
I
then
don't
the
even
next
need to
person
write
co-
that down. I just call somebody right now.
And the next
take
person
care of
comes
it.
in and it's totally different. It's, I bought a recipe and I missed an item and then I went back to the store and that store didn't have any zucchini. Can you help me
Right.
track down another store? And his list would be very
right.
varied.
There's no internet.
And that's
then.
what's notable about this particular story and why it's movie worthy is because that's when he goes, oh, the list is just the same thing over and over, right?
There's something going on here.
Something's going on.
Yeah, there's something in the water.
Right.
Something's really going on.
It's really he's the one who discovered the most at this time.
Yeah.
Ahead of the time, yeah.
And there were lists before this, and there were lists after it, because he's a
I did
lover
see
of
there had been
lists.
some since then. Yeah, that I bet the first one after the Holocaust,
It
it
probably
was probably
felt-
very difficult for him to get back
Yeah.
into the list
Yeah, oh, yeah.
and just
like-
write down groceries.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Very, very different.
Call back mom.
He's even like looking at the notebook. It's just a yellow legal pad, and he has a hard time turning the page on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can turn this.
There's
over.
something very soothing about a list, though. You know, it's a.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a big list guy
Do
myself.
you keep them on paper or do you do a phone list? at
I
this point?
I do kind of both. I
me
usually
too.
go from the phone to the paper because just crossing it off just feels so good. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean?
Yeah, I'll say I keep a very lengthy phone list, and then I will call that list for a paper list. And
Yes.
those are these must get done.
Yeah, it's the
first.
real deal stuff.
Yeah, the real
do you
deal
ever after you do something that wasn't on the list, write it down just to cross it off to get the
Oh,
endorphin
no,
rush?
I haven't.
Oh, it's the best.
That
It's
feels-
the absolute best.
That might be masturbating.
kind of
Not like
yeah.
on the list,
No,
but like that
mentally,
sort of like
yeah.
immediate
Right.
Oh,
start
absolutely.
and finish gratification compared to any sort of other way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I am very disorganized with lists to disorganize for me. I do phone and then a new note on the phone, and then at one point I was like, let's go back and go through the notes and organize them, and I have like 13,000.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
like maybe we don't do this.
Yeah.
And that's a lot. And then I have like this is my list for this,
Yeah.
which is 4 things.
Yeah.
That's a list.
It's a list,
Not bullet
and
points.
yeah, this is very precarious to have on camera while you read it. I'm like, yes.
Checking it twice. And,
But I'm just I got a half of a list and then something here, and then I don't really know which until it's note cards are what I've got big at, and I put
Okay.
the note card on my computer, and I'm like, look, you have to do this one.
One item per note card.
Usually, or like what I have to do with that. It was like taxes, and they found out they let everyone in California, do your taxes because it rained.
oh, classic. I didn't know
If
that.
if you're in California and you
that's
forgot,
awesome.
our tax extension, we got a 6-month tax extension because it rained a couple weeks, months ago.
Fantastic.
Is that real?
Yes.
Wow.
I'll take that.
That would
Seems like taxes are a thing you can do indoors.
No, not in California if it had rained. Because what if you needed to have had gone somewhere in February?
Yeah. I get it.
It is
Yeah.
absolute. It did rain a lot. I'm
Sure.
like downplaying it for the California rain, people
Yeah,
freak out
yeah.
thing, but it is. It seems like most places get that much rain.
Yeah.
If it rains that much in New York, everything underground floods.
Yes, yeah, you actually probably can't get
You
somewhere
literally
to do your taxes.
cannot
yeah,
go
an
somewhere.
Water
actual
shoots
reason.
up from the subway
Yeah.
steps. Yeah.
Oh, I saw the Mario movie.
Yeah. Oh, did you?
I did.
I haven't seen it yet.
I went and saw a Super Mario movie last night.
Yeah.
And didn't realize how much I was annoying the person I was with because I kept going, That's from Mario. Like literally not as a bit. They would do like a very specific, like Donkey Kong is in it, and remember that like where you pick your level in Donkey Kong and it's like in his room. They like have
the
that
menu?
as a set piece, and I'm like, that's from Donkey Kong.
That's fun.
And she's like, stop, because I just kept. They would like be on a cart, and I'm like, that's from Mario. Like, of course they like I did. I felt so I did it 15 times before I was like,
Right.
I have. At one point, they're running horizontally, and I'm like, that's like from an early. I just Like they don't know this. They made the.
Yeah.
This is the first movie I've seen depth in. Is the Super Mario movie because like they're referencing Mario.
Yeah.
It's the stupidest I've ever felt.
Sure.
It was fun.
That works. I remember I usually don't get like suckered into like that kind of stuff, but I remember that last Mortal Kombat when that came out, like I was fucking like going nuts when like fucking you got to get over here from Scorpion out of nowhere. And I was
Right.
like, fuck yeah,
It was
dude. Like
the Mario movie was the most fan service a movie has ever had in it. And I think it's because the last time they did one, there was no fan service.
oh yeah.
And it's been, 30 years?
I just have to point out, we've now talked far more in depth with more glowing thought behind it about Mario than we ever did
What
Schindler's
if I was like,
This
you
is
know what
true.
had a lot of
This is
fan
true.
service?
Yeah.
Mario.
Schindler's List.
Yeah.
That Mario movie last night, so colorful.
But that's
Yeah.
like...
so many colors.
I would just say, so anything I say on this podcast, if you're listening, do not take it with any sort of... Look up if you need to do your taxes.
We may have made that up.
Don't, my interpretation of movies will be wrong because I watched the Mario movie and said, that's from Mario. I mean, 30 times.
Yeah.
And not realizing I was doing the same thing
And at
over
some
and over
point,
again.
this person you were with had to just quietly say,
Stop.
I am aware of the source material of the Mario
I'm
movie
here.
is-
It's the name of the movie.
I just
Mario.
it's just it's it's not as obscure. I don't read too many comic books, so I'm never like, that's like referencing that panel from
Yeah.
whatever, which people appreciate
unreleased
a
the,
lot.
Mas-
which
the
I
Master
like.
Planner saga,
Yeah,
Spider-Man. that everybody does
instead
the
I'm like,
tribute to, yeah.
that's from Mario 2. And
Raccoon Tail.
Oh, he puts the raccoon tail on. Spoiler for everybody.
Does he put the raccoon
Oh,
tail
yeah.
on?
Oh,
no
yeah.
way. Really?
Oh, dude, that's-
I'm into that.
You know,
He
for
turns to
Mario,
stone at any point? Does he turn to stone?
he does not turn to stone.
okay.
He there's a lot. That is the one that what's that? The green box, I think. He doesn't turn into Metal Mario at any point.
Okay.
But pretty much everything else is there.
And how many people did Schindler save?
Not
I
enough,
don't know,
right?
not-
That's the answer. Not enough, right?
You know,
Fucking-
how much money did Mario make?
Yeah, that's the real question. That's the real question.
Wow.
Yeah. Anyways, so go check out the Mario movie if you have time. Schindler's List.
I feel like fan service is the most thing where if you're in the fandom, it's the best, and if you're not, it's the most annoying thing ever.
This was just like a bunch of kids having fun and me recognizing Mario from Mario.
From being a
I mean,
kid.
it's the dumbest I've ever. I realize it's the thing I probably know the most about the source material. Because
That's awesome,
you don't
really?
think about it because they don't make a million Mario movies,
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I played all these Mario games, and it's not that hard to reference the whole game. You put them in a cart.
Yeah.
Any references to the old Captain Lou Albano show?
Oh, wow. That would be fun.
Yeah.
No. It could have been like a cameo of a voice or something
Right,
that I wouldn't have
right.
been. I know that the person who voiced Mario played a character in it who just kept going wahoo,
Wow.
which is
love
from
it.
Mario. And this is now delved into it's even like beyond having fun with the discussion about it.
We're getting real.
sweating.
I mean, we start
starting
digging
to
into that
feel-
TV show and really get this nerd.
Starting
I
to
can
feel
really
the
like.
same way your friend felt last night. Yeah.
Anyways, check out that Mario movie. That's what I
And-
plug.
And if you have time.
And if you have time, Schindler's List. You know what? If you're looking for a 1-2 on a plane and you got kids,
You're good to
start
go.
them at
You're
the
good to
same
go.
time.
Educate them, and yeah,
you got kids on each side. You got Mario on the two
Yeah.
kid screens, and
Yes.
Schindler's listed right down the pike, right down the middle.
If you
Perfect.
start Mario and Schindler's List at the same time, they sync up like Pink
Oh, yeah.
Floyd's Dark Side of the Moon and The Wizard of Oz.
Yep.
There, at one point,
Whoa.
there's just people with facial hair saving others.
It's a good move. I like that.
Okay. Well, hey, I think we're gonna take. How are we looking on time here? 34. We're gonna do that. We're gonna take one more break here, and then we're gonna play some games.
Hell yeah. Wait, without Starburns, do you have to like go get advertisers now for these breaks, or like do you keep some
No,
from
there's
the
a
old
lot
podcast?
of dynamic ads, or like the robots that shove the ads in based on your listeners and
Cool.
where they're from, and like use the computers and all your
Very
the
cool.
algorithm and all that. So that's what I've been doing. I don't have like. I'm not reading ads right now. I'm not like selling toothbrushes
Very cool.
or stamps.com. This is, I found out that from Land, the CEO of Starburns, was talking to me about advertisers and how this is all about to. He's like, just get your audience as much into you because this is not in a year. I'm gonna ask you the time code when I come back in. Yeah. He's just like, he's like, you're gonna have to have 1 million listeners.
Yeah.
Or your audience just somewhere where, like on Patreon or something. He's like, advertisers want 3% return, which means they want 3% of people who listen to a podcast every episode to buy, which is absurd.
Yeah.
So if we have like 20,000, and then that's what, like, what do they want? Like,
I'm not a math
400
guy.
people
Yeah.
to buy a toothbrush every episode?
Yeah. That's wild.
Yeah, dentists
How
don't even do
insane!
that.
And then they don't even factor in that most people will listen to 6 podcasts all selling you stamps.com.
Yeah.
And Marin's been selling it for 35 years, so if someone wanted it, they probably already got it from him. Squarespace.
They don't even
And
do
the same
stamps
people listen to
anymore,
every
like,
episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they want 400 new people to at 3% is. That's why it's all unsustainable. For if that's what their model is, their model should just be we're advertising to flood. We're the example you think of for websites.
Yeah.
We're the example you think of for this. Not we think 400 people should subscribe to a Athletic Greens like protein shake every week from the movie podcast
Yeah,
or
it's
whatever
crazy.
it is. So he's like, we're very ready. All right, I'm gonna remember that to cut that out. That would actually be kind of fun in there. Okay, the computer's on. So anyways, that's why I don't think there's going to be very many networks very, very soon. Because even the other networks I've talked to are like, we got to have 55, 60,000 an episode or a famous host starting one. And they're like, we just can't be creative with it anymore.
Yeah, it sucks.
I'm like, yeah. But we're doing all right solo. And we got this room. All right, we're back. Will you make a note of that? Thank you. All right, we're back. We're going to play a few games. We're transitioning away. I don't even think we away from Mario and the other movie we were talking about. And look, I got AMC A-list, so I'm going to be seeing a lot of stuff. If you live in Burbank,
Hell yeah.
where I live now, I live by 4 AMC theaters.
That's
3 of
good.
them are walking distance from each other. It's kind of weird.
There's a lot of movies.
A-list
is what, like a movie pass?
It's like
type
Movie
system?
Pass just for AMC.
Yeah.
$20, $25 a month.
Oh, that's
three
not
movies
bad.
a week, and then
wow.
one ticket was $24 to a movie on a Tuesday.
Yeah, you're making money
How
having
crazy is that? I mean, I'm still spending it, but yeah,
Yeah.
that's the thought process they think I'll have is
Yeah.
that I'm making money. Anyways, we're back. We're gonna play some games. This first game is actually a brand new game. We've maybe played it a couple times on the podcast. It's called What's in the Boxed. All right, that was a bad version of that audio, but that's okay. Did that sound okay to you?
I've never heard.
It doesn't.
Yeah, it was a
matter.
new game.
It's a new game. It's called What's in the Box. The title's based on that 7 when he asked what's in the box.
Oh, yeah.
But I think I put the wrong audio in there where he doesn't scream what's in the box.
Oh, I
over
heard
and
it. I
over
heard it.
again.
It was
Oh,
very
you did?
faint.
Okay.
I thought it was catchy.
Yeah.
I found it to be catchy.
But I
Yeah,
made
the
the
music
beat.
was good.
I thought
Catchy
the
and
beat was
subtle.
all right,
Yeah, I
right?
thought it was
Yeah.
catchy
Okay,
and
cool.
subtle, yeah.
Like I said, that played perfect and went
Yeah.
how I planned.
Is the game guessing how many line reading of what's in the box that was? That sounded like one of the second or third time he yelled it.
It was all of them.
He wasn't crying yet.
That
Oh,
was each of them one time.
oh wow.
Yeah, I really
Okay,
call
I
it an
didn't hear
Easter
that.
egg.
I
then.
didn't catch that.
Yeah.
You can edit that in.
So how this game works is, are you both familiar with Letterboxd? The
Oh,
website
yeah.
Letterboxd, where
Vaguely, yeah.
users
You
can
leave reviews,
write
whatnot.
reviews.
Yeah.
It's a social media
I
site.
consistently engage with people who give my movies bad reviews and politely and ask them like, I'm really sorry I wasted your time. Like, what didn't you like about it? And then like I have like multiple people like email me from that. It's very
Really
interesting. Yeah,
That is wild.
yeah.
It is
started
a very...
as like a troll did it, and I was just like, it was a really funny burn. I was like, dude, I just have to say, like, that was a sick burn. Like, he fucking
Yeah.
got us good. And he was like, oh, I'm sorry, I actually kind of liked the movie. My cousin made me watch it. It's her favorite movie, and I thought it was a funny joke, so I put it on Letterboxd. I was like, all right.
I think there's something to trolls where if you just... You know Amy Miller, stand-up comedian Amy Miller?
Mm-hmm.
She does this thing where she just says, what do you mean? Every time someone...
good.
And a woman doing stand-up gets this all it is her reply. And she goes, what do you mean? And they'll be like, well, I meant this. Like, you suck. And she's like, what do you mean by that? And he's like, actually, you're pretty funny. I watched more of your stuff. And she just, like, shows all of these turnarounds. And it happens every time.
Yeah.
She'll literally just say, what do you mean?
That's
Yeah.
great.
Over and over again. All right, what's in the box? How this works is Letterboxd, website where anyone can leave reviews for movies. That's kind of become, I would say, like a Gen Z sort of comedy haven. A lot of them are realizing like that there's been like sort of like queer representation underlying in movies for a long time, or not at all, and they just like it's like very pro queer, very Gen Z, very progressive movie review website. That's what I'd say, and a social media thing. I'm going to read you letterboxed reviews for a movie.
Mm-hmm.
You have to tell me what movie they're for.
Oh, I love this.
Here's how this works: is I'll give you the category. The category is John Cusack movies,
Okay.
and it will start obscure and get more and more obvious what movie it is.
Okay.
But you're only allowed to guess once. I've got 5 reviews for each one. So if you guess which movie it is incorrectly, you're out for that round.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
5 points if you guess in the first, 4, 3, 2. The points don't really matter, but that makes sense, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Okay.
What John Cusack movie is this a review for? And if you don't guess for a second, I'll just move on to the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Best tax fraud movie, 3.5 stars. All right, next. You want?
Say anything.
It is Say Anything.
That's
Oh,
good.
was it?
Yeah,
The
that's
dad who owns the nursing
well
home.
played.
Oh,
well
wow.
played.
Wow, that's
Yeah.
a good guess.
Yeah,
We're gonna-
that's Say Anything.
that's a
Ione
5
Sky. John
That is,
Cusack.
it's a little more than, last time I watched it, it's a little more than subtextual. Like, that is kind of a big deal.
The tax fraud stuff?
Yeah.
That's the whole turn at the
Yeah.
end. That was one of my favorite movies
Yeah.
growing up.
It
Then you realize it's a movie. It's one of those 80s rom-coms where everybody's like, man, imagine if I could be as cool as Lloyd Dobler and such romantic. And you watch it now and you're like, oh, he stalked a woman.
This
Guy's
is
horrible.
He's
all of
horrible.
all
This
of
is
the
what's-
male
yeah.
characters in 80s and 90s movies like are exactly like that.
I think that
It's
is
like,
a really fun thing on Letterboxd. Is Gen Z kids have such a radar for that, right?
Oh,
A radar
yeah.
for appropriate
The-
treatment.
yes.
Of
The
people.
Graduate is a horror movie
Oh my
by
God.
modern
Oh, yeah.
standards.
Unreal.
The
Unreal.
Graduate's an actual horror
like
movie.
American
Yeah.
Pie would be like a horror story now. Like it's insane. Like you duped a foreign exchange student into like
Right.
coming to your house to be naked so you could live stream it on the internet.
Yeah.
Revenge of the
Fucking
Nerds.
kidding me?
You
Revenge
dressed
of
up
the
as
Nerds
Darth
is-
Vader
yeah,
and
yeah,
had
yeah.
sex with a woman and thought you were somewhere else.
Oh my God.
Yeah, a lot of them
Yeah.
are illegal.
Yeah.
Not just
Actual
like
crimes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's some other reviews for Say Anything. Need me a girlfriend so I can feel some ways about this. 4.5 stars.
I think you feel more ways about it if you don't have a girlfriend. I think that's the trick to that movie.
She learned stick shift way too quick. 3 stars.
Funny.
I don't know, but I have a feeling. I put character name, but Lloyd. I have a feeling that Lloyd would snap anytime. I don't know. Maybe men just scare me. Feel good movie though. 4.5 stars. And then the last one is the scene you watch this for is 10 seconds long,
yeah.
which I think would be obvious
Yeah.
as far as
Yeah.
music movies. All right, moving on. This is What's in the Box, number 2 for John Cusack. Movies. Imagine how bad their house smelled. 4.5 stars. You know you're fucked when you ask Charlie Sheen for advice. 4 stars. An actor name reading this script and agreeing to go all in is the definition of king shit. 4 stars. They even gave the chimp a character arc. 5 stars.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
movie
I'm
is
so lost
Cusack
now.
and Charlie Sheen and a chimp? Is it an
How early
animated
in the
movie?
writing process do you approach him to make sure he's on board so you don't have to scrap the entire movie? 5 stars.
What?
All right, we are looking for Being John Malkovich.
Oh.
Oh, wow. Oh, yeah, Machine. Dude, that's a... Wow. And there is a chimp in that.
I didn't remember the chimp.
I think they
now.
just have a bunch of animals in their home.
Yeah, she's got
Is their
Cameron
thing.
Diaz's character. Is like,
Cameron Diaz is great in that movie.
She's phenomenal. One of the more underrated actresses, comedian actresses, I feel like, of our time.
Yeah. All right, here we go. John Cusack movie. We have 2 more. Which John Cusack movie is this a review for? This happened to me one time. 5 stars.
Gross Point Blank.
It is not. All right, Todd, you've been eliminated from this one. Chris, for 4 points. I'm pretty sure that it's scientifically proven that this is the greatest film ever made. 5 stars. In
Could be any movie that someone
any
likes.
John Cusack. Yeah. In some ways, the spiritual sequel to Forrest Gump. 4 stars.
Spiritual sequel to Forrest Gump. So it came out after Forrest Gump.
I spend at least half of my waking life lamenting that we don't get action movies like this on the regular anymore.
Con Air?
It is Con Air.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go, Okay.
And the last review was, are we absolutely sure Michael Bay had nothing to do with this?
There you go.
3
I
stars.
love that Forrest Gump reference. That is Cameron Poe. That's a real Gump character, and he wasn't trying to do that.
I like that you shot your shot on Gross Point Blank, which is my favorite movie.
It's a great movie. It's a great movie.
Yeah. A movie not talked about enough. in
No,
my
I
opinion.
agree.
Yeah, we have a lot to discuss.
All right. Final John Cusack movie. Like, bro had skills and all that, and that's crazy. 3.5 stars. I can't even put into words why I like this movie, but I think it's because it's good for absolutely no reason. Maybe it isn't. 4.5 stars. Adulthood is realizing every single one of the high school friends you thought were cooler than you ended up just being a giant loser like you too.
One Crazy Summer?
It is not. 5 stars.
Felt pretty good about that guess, though.
He is my ideal man down to the profession. 5 stars. Killing people for money is fine. Refusing to join a union is not. Fucking Scab. 2.5 stars.
That's Gross Point Blank.
Yes, it is.
Yeah,
Wait, what were the first ones?
The high school one makes sense.
Like,
but yeah,
bro had skills and all that. That's crazy.
because I guess he's a good assassin.
High school friends. I
Can't
guess
even
I
put into
should
words
guess.
why I like this movie.
I've seen Gross Point Blank probably 30 times.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Haven't seen Schindler's List once. None of those reviews.
I
None of
actually
those
tried
were-
to because I looked up. I just googled Chris Gethard favorite movie.
Oh, you
That's
did?
what led us to all the John
So that was
Cusack
Wait, really?
movies
that was
and
the
everything.
that was the layup. That was the easy one.
That was the easy one I saved.
Wait, so you're not joking? That really is your favorite movie?
100%.
Oh, that's
like
outstanding.
to
I've
a
given interviews
multiple outlets on the internet
Yeah.
have like had discussions with you about.
I think it's a perfect script.
It is a perfect
I
script.
think it's so funny, so well acted. I think I've often said like, I mean, Judd Apatow certainly did change the game, but I think like as far as the canary in the coal mine of silly comedies that have a lot of heart, Grosse Pointe Blank.
I buy that. I
Probably
buy
the
that for
canary in
sure.
the coal mine. That society was pointed in that direction.
Yeah,
And
I feel-
everyone needs
good.
to know more about this movie, and I'm ashamed that I didn't guess it.
That's interesting because that is like I think you're kind of right about that. If you think about like how Jerry Maguire tilted into all these like like the way what that did for rom-coms, I feel like you're probably right. That did do that for comedies in a weird way.
It's such a
Comedies with
silly
heart.
premise, and then it has so much heart, and it's legitimately funny. Also, I would argue probably Dan Aykroyd's last
100%.
great performance.
100%.
Like a truly great performance he pulled out
Absolutely.
of nowhere.
Yep.
And the last bat before he started selling vodka out of skulls.
I mean, that's like the prequel, like a prequel to that movie on just that relationship of its own is that would be my second favorite movie.
100%. I have endless love for that movie. There's so many quotable lines. We could talk all day about it.
I did some quick math right now,
Yeah.
and the Grosse Pointe Blank is 1 hour and 47 minutes long. Let's say you've seen it 25 times,
Yeah.
all the way through 30 bits of it for 30 or whatever. You could have watched Schindler's List 17 times in there. Just at any point, you could have snuck
Yeah.
one in.
I could have. So
I wouldn't
I
call
could've
it. You know
swapped
what?
out-
Snuck one in is probably a bad term. I would say for Schindler's List, but
I could have swapped out 2 Grosse Pointe Blank viewings and just had a nice Schindler's
and watched
List day.
I imagine there's not a director's cut of Schindler's List because I just don't see a company being like, cut that out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
you probably could have seen like the Criterion.
But here's the thing. Grosse Pointe Blank's so
It's so
funny.
fun. It's fun and funny.
It's the opposite emotional toll. You feel real good afterwards watching Grosse Pointe Blank.
Yeah.
You're not.
Oh
bummed.
no, I'm not saying you should have done this at any point. I think you've made the right
Could've,
choices all the way
easily.
Yeah,
across.
easily
Nah,
could've.
who knows if my math was right?
Definitely,
There were decimals.
Grosse Pointe Blank is the movie I've seen the most times.
Really?
Definitely.
That's wild. That's awesome.
Love that movie. Love it.
That's the only real great Cusack situation. Also, I feel like.
You think? I don't know. I mean, Joan shows up in a lot of his films.
But I feel like she doesn't have as much of a character.
She
as
sort of
does on-
steals the show.
Yeah,
as
she
we
really
put it.
does.
And
She
it has
really
that great
does.
line where he calls her Sergeant Pepper when she's wearing that shirt, and it's great, and it's so funny. She sort of steals that whole movie in a lot of
really
ways.
does.
Yeah.
Minnie
And it's
Driver does
such
that.
easy shooting for her too, because I don't think there's ever a scene
Just
where
in an
there's
office.
another
the whole thing.
character.
Yeah, it's just a woman in an office on a phone.
Yeah,
It's a classic
she,
move.
just blowing it. They must have just kept telling her like, "Go have even more fun." That one was great. Go bigger, and she kills that movie.
Can I just
Everybody's
say,
good.
and I'll stop with my Grosse Pointe blanking after this, but as someone who loves like action movies, I feel like though they take the assassin stuff so seriously as far as like
Mm-hmm.
the level of detail, and I feel like that's the thing that action comedies or even comedies with heart, any comedy doesn't do that. It's like, oh, it's just a joke. We're just gonna fucking like as long as the joke lands, it's fine. Or as long as we did this plot thing to get us to the joke, it's fine.
But this is like logistically also honest.
that's like that is the guy's job, and he is doing his job well, and it's great. But he has some problems with that job. It's really great.
This sounds like a quirky setup for a film.
I mean, someone should make it, right? No, it's really well done.
Okay. What did we played the?
I'm so mad I didn't get them. I got Con Air. I didn't get Grosse Pointe Blank.
You got
think I've seen
5
half of
points. Let's
Con
say
Air.
anything. I would say is the layup of layups because it's kind of probably
Yeah.
the first. I would say it's first thought for John Cusack,
Yeah.
even though it's doesn't hold up great.
Yeah.
Is only that 10 minutes,
And
10
still-
second scene.
Yeah, culturally doesn't hold up great, but still some great performances in there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, you know what? Let's stick with get a little Cusack here. We're gonna play a game. This game is called Build the Perfect Movie.
Heard all that.
Heard all that one.
Yep.
Something with the tongue. Anyways, this Build the Perfect Movie. How this works is I'll give you a category. We're gonna go John Cusack movies.
Okay.
You have to pick any movie he's appeared in 1 second, 1 hour, anything.
Sure.
You have to pick 2 movies from that category whose Rotten Tomatoes score adds up to as close to 100 as possible without going over.
Wow.
So Price is Right rules apply.
You're looking for 2 like middle to low.
You're looking for a 50-50, a 90-10.
I always go one high, one low because
uh,
I know a lot of bad movies.
I would
so-
say the most
Yeah.
frequent strategy is the Michelle Obama, which is go low, then go high.
Hell yeah. Start with some Steven Seagal, then
Mm-hmm.
get your way up to like a.
Well, yeah, if you can find those Steven Seagal, John Cusack overlap movies,
I mean,
that's
it's
100.
a match made in heaven that hasn't happened yet. It needs to happen.
Chris, since you're leading in the points here,
Yeah.
something to something. I lost my bookmark.
Great.
You get to go first. You'll each pick your movie. I'll
Yeah.
review the scores, and then you can pick your second movie accordingly.
So we don't pick both at once.
Correct.
I pick
You'll
one.
get to know how
Oh,
and,
so you
and,
can get
and
snaked.
adjust
You can get
accordingly.
snaked on this.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get a little bit of a
Okay.
little quiet background music to help with it.
Okay.
All right. So first movie.
First movie, I'm gonna pick Serendipity.
Ooh.
John Cusack, frozen hot chocolate movie. Serendipity.
All right.
I'm interested. I have no idea how that was critically received. That's really interesting. I could go
That
either
is
way.
a turn of into the 21st century rom-com
Yeah.
sort of stuff. They could be 100 or 4,
Yeah.
and you will feel the same way about those 2 movies. And you do not know why critics chose to hate them.
Yeah.
All right, Todd.
I'm gonna go with. Oh boy, Runaway Jury.
Okay.
Runaway Jury. I think I built it. Oh yeah, I wanted to play the looping one. That's right.
Which I have not seen, but I feel like I forget who directed it, but I like the director.
Yeah.
Or no, I like that it's a Grisham thing. It's the only Grisham movie
Yeah.
I haven't seen.
Okay.
All right, let's go ahead and let's review our scores here real quick. Runaway
Oh,
Jury.
we get to know the first one.
You get
okay.
to know your scores.
Yeah,
Todd, Runaway Jury is a 73%.
Ooh.
So you're looking for a 27 or
What?
less.
Okay.
I thought that was like a poorly received Grisham.
My
joint.
thought about Serendipity was that has to be the most average, straight down the middle, 50%.
Serendipity is a 59%. So that
Wow.
is pretty good. You're looking for
Wow.
a 41.
Yeah. yeah, okay.
Since you have more to make up, Chris, you will pick first in this one, and Todd, you'll pick second.
Oh man.
So it's got to be 41 or less. I'm going to go Hot Tub Time Machine.
I think that was well received, wasn't it?
Did I just fuck up real bad?
Maybe it wasn't. It was funny. I mean,
The stakes couldn't be lower. No, I'm reading the tagline for Hot Tub Time Machine.
Hot Tub Time Machine, a movie I enjoyed, but that I can't imagine critics.
yeah.
Embrace.
Yeah, you're probably right.
We're going critics on this, not
Critics.
audience.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I guess they do not like comedy.
Oh, the
usually.
audience score will come up.
I feel like he isn't in Hot Tub Time Machine 2, really.
You mean Hot Tub Time Machine number 2?
Yeah.
I thought you meant
Yeah.
also
sequel.
really.
Well,
I was
guys,
like, no, he's very much in the
I
first
think the sequel wasn't well received, but
one. Really?
You're telling me?
You're telling me critics didn't want that franchise to go off?
27% John Cusack movie. Man, that's tough. There's one there's something that it's not Ice Storm. That's Ang Lee. There's an Ice.
2012?
Is that wait? He was. Oh yeah, yeah.
I just
Freezes
assumed
over.
that's what you meant by
yes,
Ice Storm.
2012. That's
You want to go 2012?
Oh boy, 27%. I don't know. That's
Especially that movie doesn't hold up like 2 weeks after it came out, and
Yeah.
everything was fine still. Didn't
I'm
that
not-
come out like 2 days before the Mayan calendar was supposed to end? Was like
Probably,
their
yeah.
big thing.
I'm gonna do 2012 because you know what? Even if I'm under, I'm gonna bank on you maybe going over. Price is
Okay.
Right style.
Okay.
I'll go 2012.
All right, here we go. Let's review the scores. Runaway Jury is a 73%. 2012 is a 39%. So we're a little bit over.
Wow.
We're at
Wow.
112
Wow.
there.
Wow.
Serendipity is a 59. Hot Tub Time Machine 64.
Wow.
64.
Good for them.
Good
Wow.
for them. No winners today on Build the Perfect Movie.
Wow.
So we're going to extend to the secondary version of Build the Perfect Movie, which I call Discrepancy. You have to tell me the John Cusack movie with the biggest discrepancy between audience and critics score. Where was the most disagreement? And it can be either way. Audiences loved it more, or critics loved it more. You don't have to go either way there.
You've
What-
researched this already?
Absolutely not.
Seems like it would take a while.
No, you just look up the movie. No, whoever wins between the two of you.
Oh, whoever
Yeah,
turns
yeah,
between
yeah.
the two. I thought you wanted us to nail out of his whole
Oh yeah, the most.
Oh no,
resume.
no.
Okay.
Oh boy, this is gonna
Although
be
I
tough.
can pull it up. They do show you both of those right there on Rotten Tomatoes.
Oh man, I'm gonna go with Con Air.
I'll go One Crazy Summer.
All right, here we go.
Oh, that's a good call.
The discrepancy on Con Air, critics score 58%, audience score 75%. So we're looking at what, a 17% right there.
25% of people saw Con Air and was like, "Oh no, that wasn't fun."
And what was
What?
One Crazy Summer.
One Crazy Summer, critics score 45%, audience score 63%. That's an 18% discrepancy.
Ooh,
That is
1
a 1-point win.
Wow.
Absolute. That might actually be his biggest one. Class, a movie he was in 1983, it looks like his first role was his biggest discrepancy, 29-50. But that's a big win. That's a 1% win.
Yeah, it's
You
impressive.
can actually host the podcast.
Yeah, you can take
you
it
so
over.
much.
The
yeah.
Grifters has a big discrepancy.
That's a great movie.
91% critics, 70 audience. Roadside Prophets has a big discrepancy. I've never even heard of that.
Yeah, right.
He's got a lot.
Where's Gross Point
Dude
Blank
likes to
land on
work.
this?
This is what I'm most interested in. Gross Point Blank is a 5% discrepancy. 82 critics, 87 audience. That one's pretty.
Should be 100 on both sides.
All right, our final game.
Who are the 18% of critics that didn't bow down at the brilliance
I
of that
guarantee
script?
they also are part of that 25% that didn't like Con Air. It's
Um,
like a John Cusack hater club or something.
This is our very, very final game here, and then we're going to get out of here. This is called Guess What Movie Kyle's Dad is Describing, having only watched the trailer and never having heard of the movie The Game.
Guess what movie trailer Kyle's dad is describing, having only watched a trailer and never having heard of the movie Game.
How this works is my dad, who has not been to a movie theater since the original Space Jam, watches a movie trailer, describes what's happening in that, and then you have to guess what movie it's a trailer for. It's not a John Cusack. I don't think so.
Did something traumatic happen at Space Jam?
I think he fell asleep and was like, I can't do these.
I'm done with this. Yeah.
He doesn't like going to movies. He likes watching them at home, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But for that, it was like I was the right age that he was like, we should take him to see
Yeah,
the Michael
sure.
Jordan movie. So this can be any movie at any point. I will tell you it's not John Cusack. I do have a couple John Cusack ones he's described, including Identity, which is a fun one to listen to, and a movie I liked.
Very confusing though trailer.
Oh yeah. All right, here we go. What movie is this a trailer description from my dad of?
Okay. Some fireworks are going off over the city. Oh, and that was a gunshot. The murderer is asking them to do stuff for them. Someone gets shot in a taxi. He said he has around 90 suspects. She wants to know why a cartoonist is at a gun range. Tons
That
of
sounds
shots
familiar.
of everyone looking at evidence. Paul is not okay. No one is on the other side of the phone call. This is upbeat music for a murderer movie. Quick shots of cars. It's always night. He wants to know if anyone else is in the house.
The cartoonist thing sounds familiar.
But not Who Framed Roger Rabbit. That was like a real. That was interesting.
This one's pretty tough.
Is that that last Guillermo del Toro movie?
Nightmare Alley.
Is that what that's called?
Yeah, but it's not that.
Classic.
All right, I'm giving the audience some time to guess at home.
Yeah.
Any thoughts?
I'm drawing a blank.
Obscuring the gunshot with the fireworks is
We are
is
looking
a
for-
great trope.
Zodiac.
Oh, I can see the start of that.
Sometimes
Wait, cartoonist at
cart-
because
is
he's
he
a
the
newspaper
sketch
guard.
artist?
Yeah,
he's
the
the
cartoonist
cartoonist
newspaper,
at the
yes.
newspaper, Jake Gyllenhaal.
Because that's why he's good at like the.
Got it. That's
It's
why-
almost like
that's why
a,
that jumped out.
Yeah, sometimes
Oh, and anyone else in the house when he goes and visits that guy with the poster.
it's
at
just
the
a
end,
pretty
the basement.
straightforward movie, and so
Yeah.
usually the trailers are also very straightforward.
Yeah.
My dad couldn't be like, he's building good tone like in his previous movies. Well, hey, Chris, thank you for being here.
Oh, what a joy.
Thank you for having never seen Schindler's List.
Oh, you're
Sincerely.
welcome. You're welcome, everybody.
Let everyone know anything you would like to let everyone know about.
Sure.
and
When is this coming out?
This
Do we
will
know?
be out either next Tuesday or the Tuesday after. That's up to you.
Well, I've got my podcast, Beautiful Anonymous, which is going strong many years in. And on May 4th, 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'm doing our first ever fan festival at the Bell House in Brooklyn. And it's got comedy shows and live music and tapings and meet and greets and all sorts of stuff. So that's a very fun thing that I'm looking forward to.
Awesome.
That's awesome.
This will be out
Yeah.
before that, no matter what.
Awesome.
Hell yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Todd. Thank you so much for being here.
Always.
And having seen Schindler's List.
Yeah,
I
I
didn't
mean,
even ask.
one time.
You're
One
just
time.
very
That was enough.
confident
Once
about
was
it.
enough for me, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you guys very much for listening. Appreciate it. It's our first one from the new studio. I feel good.
I've never seen